MREs, or meals ready to eat, is a modern solution to an age-old problem. How do you feed an army on a long campaign when resupply isn't always an option? But let us step back for a second. Napoleon Bonaparte famously said, "An army marches on its stomach." In the past, armies lived off the land. They pillaged or requisitioned food from the people whose land they were occupying. Often, more soldiers died of disease which was exacerbated by malnutrition than from combat. The oldest form of preserved food source is hardtack. Hardtack is a simple biscuit or cracker made from flour, water, and salt. Hardtack was developed probably not too long after the invention of baking some 8,500 years ago. Egyptian soldiers carried a flat, brittle loaf of millet bread called dura cake during their travels up and down the Nile 5,000 years ago. Romans had a biscuit they called psalladum. Records show King Richard I of England had hardtack with him when he left for the third crusade to the Holy Land. Hardtack was a staple of military rations up until the 1800s. The standard for military rations in the United States was set in 1775 during the Revolutionary War. It included 1 pound of beef, 1/4 pound of pork or 1 pound of salt fish, 1 pound of bread or flour, 3 pints of peas or beans, 1 pint of milk, 1/2 pint of rice or 1 pint of cornmeal, and 1 quart of spruce beer or cider. When these items were not available, soldiers relied on hardtack and jerky. The father of modern food preservation, and perhaps the father of modern food science, is Nicolas Appert. In the 1800s, Napoleon Bonaparte announced a reward of 12,000 francs for anyone who could devise a way to preserve food for his army, which was on the cusp of invading Russia. Nicolas Appert developed a method of food preservation which included putting food in glass jars and then keeping them in boiling water for minutes to hours, depending on the food. The next major war the Americans fought in was the Civil War from 1861 to 1865. Due to progress made by then in the methods of food preservation, the rations of Union soldiers during the war came to include coffee, tea, potatoes, and seasonings. In World War I, which the United States joined in April 1917, the American forces used 3 types of food. They were known as the reserve ration, the trench ration, and the emergency ration. The emergency ration was also known as the iron ration. These rations included canned meat, a cube of condensed soup, coffee, and sugar. In the 1940s, the American Army was using several types of rations. Some of these were A, B, C, D, and K rations. Jungle rations and mountain rations were also developed for use in tropical and high altitude areas. A ration is meal prepared from fresh or frozen foods, while B ration is meals prepared from canned or preserved ingredients. C, D, and K were all issued to individuals as emergency and survival rations.
The combat ration C, which I have here a box, is designed to take care of a man in combat for 1 day. Let me show you the contents of this box. There are a total of 8 cans. 3 cans of basic menus for each meal. For instance, corned beef hash, meat and beans with tomato sauce, hamburger with gravy, and a can of fruit, in this instance, pineapple. Now there are 4 other cans, and they contain the following. Here, matches, cigarettes, soluble milk, coffee, sugar, a can opener, toilet tissue, chlorine tablets, chewing gum, and again, of course, a plastic wrapper. The other cans contain the same thing. 4 crackers, soluble milk, granulated sugar, soluble coffee, and a cake of cocoa, which can be eaten or it can be used as a beverage, and 3 cans of jam. If I've made any of you hungry, the Army Recruiting Office is just down the street, I'm sure.
C ration refers to a pre-cooked and prepared wet ration. Both D and K rations were survival rations.
When a soldier is out in the field and away from camp cooks, he must carry his own ration. Pre-cooked meats for emergency rations were developed in the Army laboratory for this purpose, which consists of a can of meat for each meal and a second unit containing concentrated soup, hardtack, coffee powder, and candy. Total weight, 3.5 pounds for 3 square meals a day.
D rations were chocolate bars produced by the Hershey Chocolate Company. The Logan bar and its cousin, the Tropical bar, both produced by the Hershey Chocolate Company, were detested soldiers who found them very unappetizing. Nevertheless, Hershey Chocolate Company produced 3 billion units of the two bars between 1940 and 1945. Finally, the K ration was the individual daily combat ration that was designed to give the soldiers more energy even though they were lighter than the canned foods. The K ration provided 3 separately boxed meal units: breakfast, dinner, and supper.
Specialized troops in mobile warfare need a still more compact ration. So the Army has developed the now famous K ration, the completely streamlined meal. Originally designed for paratroops, K proved ideal for tank busters, commandos, and all isolated units. Each package contains a balanced vitamin-rich meal. A day's ration weighs about 2 pounds.
But K rations, jungle rations, and mountain, unlike the C rations, were all very expensive to produce, and so the Quartermaster Command officials would use them only for highly mobile troops. During the latter part of World War II and the Korean War, the Army relied heavily on canned C rations, which were issued to troops regardless of operating environment or mission. Indeed, for most soldiers, the thing they ate more than anything during the Second World War was Spam meat. The Spam meat, developed by the Hormel Food Corporation, was first introduced in 1937. Its basic ingredients were pork and ham, salt, water, modified potato starch, sugar, and sodium nitrate, which acts as a preservative. Nobody knows exactly where the word Spam comes from. Some say it means spiced ham or spare meat or shoulders of pork and ham. Others think it's an acronym for Specially Processed American Meat or Specially Processed Army Meat. But whatever the meaning of the word, Spam meat was the most reliable source of ready-to-eat meat for US and all of its allies. Over 100 million cans of Spam were sent to the Pacific during the Second World War. Nikita Khrushchev said after the war, "Without Spam, we wouldn't have been able to feed our army." British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher later referred to Spam as a wartime delicacy.
Did you know that Spam was one of the unsung heroes of World War II? It's true, and the Spam Museum has dedicated a section to the role it played in the Allied victory. Take a look. Nicole, I love being here at the museum, and I'm learning so much.
Great.
Spam's role in World War II was huge.
It is. We shipped over 100 million pounds to the troops in World War II, and really it was a protein that they could take anywhere with them.
A slight improvement on the canned ration came in the 50s with the MCI, or Meal Combat Individual Rations. The improvement came in the form of additional menu items to reduce monotony and encourage adequate daily feeding and nutrition. Despite the new name, the troops still called MCI the C rations. The MCI was still large and heavy as ever, and so the Department of Defense started the MRE, or Meals Ready to Eat program. The idea was to rely on modern food preparation and packaging technology to create a lighter replacement for the canned MCI. In 1966, this led to the creation of long-range patrol, or LRP ration, dehydrated meal stored in a waterproof canvas pouch. However, just as the jungle ration, it was expensive to produce compared to canned bread rations, and so it was never widely used. LRP was useful though, for special ops troops involved in extended missions, sometimes deep into enemy territory during the Vietnam War. Further work on MREs continued in the 1970s and 80s under Dr. Abdul Rahman, an Iraqi-American scientist who fled Iraq along with his American wife Ethel in the 1960s. In 1970, he started working on a dehydrated meal stored in a plastic retort pouch. The first MREs went into service in 1981 using a limited menu of 12 entrees. The 25th Infantry did a field study of the MRE in 1983. They ate MREs 3 times a day for 34 days. Afterwards, they reported that the rations were acceptable, but test results showed only 60% of the calories were consumed. Researchers made further changes to the MREs in the 80s based on the 1983 results. They replaced 9 of the 12 entree options and increased entree size from 5 to 8 ounces. The MREs were now complete 1300 calorie meals that included things like cake, peanut butter, hot sauce, and candy. The varieties of these meals continued to increase, and in the 90s, a flameless ration heater, FRH for short, was introduced. FRH is a water-activated exothermic reaction product that emits heat, allowing a service member in the field to enjoy a hot meal. All you have to do is add a little bit of water to an accompanying pouch, along with the main entree, and the magnesium-based heating pad heats up the food in about 10 minutes. There are now 24 menu items for the servicemen and servicewomen to choose from, with main entrees including shredded barbecue beef, chicken with egg noodles and vegetables, meatballs in marinara sauce, skit entree, chili and macaroni, elbow macaroni and tomato sauce, rib-shaped barbecue pork patty, Mexican-style chicken stew, and many more. MREs have been distributed to civilians during natural disasters. The National Guard has provided MREs to the public during natural disasters such as Hurricanes Katrina, Ike, and Sandy, and during the 2011 super outbreak. These days, several companies have started to provide MREs even for civilian use. They have become very popular, especially in the survivalist community.
Everything in an XMRE meal is fully cooked and ready to eat, as it is right out of the pouch. But if you want the added comfort and morale boost that a hot meal can give, you have the option of heating components with a flameless ration heater. Tear off the top of the bag and place the food pouch in the bag with the heating element. While holding the heater bag, add 3 to 5 ounces of any liquid to the fill line and seal the heater bag using the zip closure. Let it stand for up to a minute to allow the liquid to activate the heating element, and then wait 3 to 5 minutes for your food to become hot and ready. Reaction times and cooking times may vary depending on altitude and liquid temperature. Our flameless meal heaters are non-toxic, non-flammable, and safe to use even in confined and closed spaces. Open the heater bag and let the steam diffuse out for a minute. Be careful as steam is very hot. Carefully remove the food pouch. Open and enjoy your hot meal.
The US military is now even moving off of the FRH, the flameless ration heater, and has developed an air-activated heating system which will be safer to use in enclosed environments like submarines and will also conserve water in the field.